YouTube, and I have a question. Have you ever wanted to play Super Nintendo from your bed? I do. I want to play Super Nintendo from my bed all the time. Well, there's one issue with that. The Super Nintendo controller has a cord, and it's a short cord. And I mean incredibly short. So short that I can't play my Super Nintendo from my bed like I want to. Well, thanks to 8Bidtdo, there's a solution to that. Introducing the SNES 430C, which I'm not sure what the 430C stands for, so I'm just going to call it the 8Bidtdo Wireless SNES Controller. And basically enough, this is a Bluetooth controller that works for your Super Nintendo and your Android phones or anything that you have that's Bluetooth enabled. So basically, if you've ever wanted to play SNES games on your phone, you can do that. If you want to try and play PS4 games with a SNES controller, you can do that. It's a crazy thing, thanks to 8Bidtdo. Now, there is one drawback, and that's that you also will need the 8Bidtdo retro receiver, and this is an additional $20 to this $20 controller. So this is a combined total purchase of $40, which sucks. However, this feels exactly like a Super Nintendo controller. So much so that I couldn't feel a difference while I was playing. I tested out this controller with multiple games, and I didn't notice any lag whatsoever, which is amazing. I was very impressed with this controller, to say the least. It looks and feels exactly like an original Super Nintendo controller, which is often my biggest complaint with aftermarket controllers, is that they just don't feel like an original Super Nintendo controller. They almost feel like cheap knockoffs that you would buy back in the 90s or 80s, or maybe even cheap aftermarket controllers. This controller, on the other hand, feels exactly like an original Super Nintendo controller, just minus the wired controller. It also, I didn't notice any lag from this controller, which is a big plus in my book. A Bluetooth controller that doesn't have lag is amazing in my opinion. I would show off footage of this controller being used on an Android device, but unfortunately enough, it would just be crappy cam footage, which wouldn't look very good. So on that front, I failed. However, I can attest that it does work, as I have used it on my Android phone before, which is also another plus, that it connects to not just the Super Nintendo, but multiple other systems. My final verdict for the 8Bidtdo Retro SNES 430C controller, bunch of jangled words that I don't like the name of this controller, honestly. My final verdict for it is buy it. It was worth every penny that I spent. I would wholeheartedly buy another one of their products. It gets a full 10 out of 10, 20 out of 20, whatever review score, generic template thing that people use. It gets a full 2 thumbs up, 5 stars. I could go on. It gets a full recommendation from me. This controller is awesome, and it works incredibly. It feels just like an original SNES controller, and it looks like one too. Guys, I can't speak highly enough of it. Definitely buy one of these immediately.